found record. And we're off.
Okay,
we're
there
okay. Week 1 of the football predictions. This one should be a quick one because we really don't know what's going to happen. But it's we'll give a quick idea of what we think, how things will go the first week. And we kick off with the champions away to Burnley, newly promoted Vincent Kompany's Burnley. Mike, is there going to be an upset in the first week of the season?
I don't think look, there'll be plenty of upsets on the first day of the season because Arsenal are top of the table right now because they're AR, and second place are Aston Villa.
Some might say that Bournemouth are top
and
because
Bournemouth are number 3.
Well, Bournemouth actually are AFC Bournemouth.
Everyone is potentially top of the table. Yeah, AS are ahead of
AFC
anyway,
Bournemouth. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that every team has that. There's no form to go by. There's no heads down. I'm going to say simply Burnley, newly promoted. You've got the Kompany factor. He knows the Man City layout and their form. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw on this one. I think Man City, Guardiola's complained that they are a couple of weeks behind in fitness levels than other teams because their pre-season started a bit later because their season ended later. And looking at them, the possession fine, they lack that cutting edge. And I think I'm hoping, to make the season interesting, I hope teams will have a go at them and have that belief. And I'm hopeful that Burnley will be one of them at home. First game in the Premier League in a while, will get a draw.
Okay.
Might get more, but I'll take a draw.
Yep. Interesting you said that. I think great minds think alike. Because I think if there's ever a chance for a team to have an upset against Man City, this is it. The first game of the season after winning everything last year, they're not up to full speed yet. De Bruyne isn't back in full form. Yeah, I think that I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Burnley. A big upset. I mean, it has no. It could have no. I'm going to think Burnley might do a big surprise on them on this one. It's kind of more hopeful more than anything else. But I think that if ever it's going to be a chance, this is going to be it. This has to be the chance for them. All right. So we'll have to wait and see.
This is a good measure of the difference between the Championship, and the Premiership. We talk about this big jump because Burnley were very impressive in the Championship and won it with a canter.
Yes.
And now they're playing the champions in the Premier League. But the champions are.
We'll see.
They're
teams that run away with the championships often sometimes struggle. It doesn't necessarily translate, but we'll see what they have at home. A home crowd, who knows? Let's hope for the best. Now, second game, then the early game on Saturday. Arsenal, who were second last season, in home to Forest. I'll go on this one first. Yeah. I think Arsenal have to win this one, really. There's no doubt about it. All the talk, all the before season, all that they've learned from last season, it'll mean nothing if they can't beat Forest at home in the first game. Forest have some injuries as well, too. The striker, Awoniyi, is doubtful. So I'm expecting Arsenal to break Forest down. Forest will probably defend, I'm expecting. They still have got some players on the break, but I'm going to go for Arsenal 3-1 on this one. I think it has to be.
Okay, again, so far we're 100% in terms. Well, we're not because you predicted a Burnley victory, but I also think Forest. Neither of us put them into our relegation zone. As a team that will get relegated. Interesting. We're hoping that all the players they bought last season, they've had their pre-season and time. That they'll show a better team unity. However, they're the worst away record.
That's right.
Of everyone in the league last year, and I don't see that changing in the first game against the guys that are really going to be hungry for it. They've won a cup already this year, and they're going to want to win a bigger one than they won on Sunday.
Hopefully.
3-0 to Arsenal.
Okay, very good. Okay.
I'm going 3-0.
Then
okay, Bournemouth versus West Ham.
Yeah, you go for that one. What do you think?
Okay, we'll just go quickly here. This game, to be honest, I made predictions and I've written them down because I can't look at your notes anymore. And that's an inside joke for those of you watching. And I made these before some late last-minute signings that West Ham potentially are getting over the line. But whether players start at this stage doesn't matter. So I have 0-0 down as a nice dower. Bournemouth are a team I've predicted to get relegated. West Ham, I could see struggling. They have a couple of signings I think aren't bad signings, nearly over the line. But it might be too soon for this week. And I think a 0-0, Bournemouth at home.
Okay.
Take that to start off their Premier League campaign.
Very good. Okay, and Bournemouth have got rid of their coach, right? Gary McNeil, haven't they? He's moved to Wolverhampton Wanderers now.
Yeah, he went, like, I think at the end or, during the close season.
Yeah.
So he got all pre-season. But now he's with Wolves, you're correct.
Yeah. So I also predicted Bournemouth to go down. I also, like you, predicted Bournemouth to go down. The signings you speak of, there's rumors, is it Harry Maguire and James Ward-Prowse? Is that what you've heard as well?
They are the same, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't think...
that both of those have been agreed by clubs.
I think West Ham will probably have a slow start. I think that they'll miss Damien Rice. And they'll have a bit of a hangover as well from winning the European Conference Cup. They'll think there's a bit of pressure off them, to perform. And we saw last year that they didn't really get going at all. They were very dangerously near relegation zone for most of the season.
Yeah.
Moyes as well isn't having a good relationship with the board, but I still expect, because Bournemouth I think are going to go down this year, I think that they will. I think West Ham should have enough to get over the line on this one. 1-0 to West Ham, I'm thinking. Okay. All right. Then
sticking with you, we've got Brighton.
Yes.
Brighton at home to Luton.
Yeah. Now I know Brighton. I know you fancy Brighton very strongly this year to finish in the top 4, right? Top 4. So and I think at home game to Luton, newly promoted Luton, I think Brighton, with all their experience and they are a really good team, and they'll be up for it this year as well. So I'm going to go for a comfortable home draw on this one. I can't see Luton having an upset on this one.
What score?
I'm going to go for 2-0 to Brighton.
A
home win, Brighton.
You said a home draw.
Oh, sorry. 2-0 to Brighton.
So there we go. A comfortable home draw. You heard it first. No, this is where we have snapped. So I have Brighton 2, Luton 0 down on my scorecard. I say I've high hopes for the Irish international Evan Ferguson. I'm a big fan of them and the way they're playing. The link-up play. They create so many opportunities. They create space. They work as a team. And they've sold players in the past. People saying, they sold their player of the year to Chelsea. They lost their manager. And we kept on waiting for them to drop. And eventually they went to another level.
Yes.
So that's why I have high hopes for them.
Yeah.
Luton are an unknown factor. They crept in at the last second.
Yes.
I know one person in the world who's a Luton Town supporter, and he's surprised they're in the Premier League.
Okay. So yeah, they'll enjoy the season there. Hopefully that they'll do well. I haven't put Luton down to go down. I think there's a good team spirit there. And so I'm hoping that they'll have enough. I think there'll be teams worse than them. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. We'll see. It
teams have a chance, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And I remember Luton from the 80s. So I have an affiliation with that club a little bit. I think that's good to see them back up again. So, but we'll see. Anyway, I think they won't win this one. Yeah, Kenilworth Road, the old plastic pitch back in a long time ago. For our older viewers who might remember that. Right. So then we're on to Everton at home to Fulham. Do you want to go with that one?
Yes. Everton, Fulham. Okay, this one has 0-0 stamped all over it. Except I'm going for, because of the home factor, I am going for an Everton victory, a 1-0. I think Dyche, having had all of pre-season, he came in there in January. he's had time to get to know his players. They had a job to do to survive. They did it just about. Fulham overachieved, I think, in terms of Mitrovic last year. I think Mitrovic could have a quieter season. Find, defenders have sussed onto him a bit better this year. Be ready for him. So I think goals will be hard to come by for Fulham. I'm going for a 1-0 Goodison Park victory, driven home by the home supporters.
Yeah, well, I actually have down the same score exactly as
you. What about you?
I have the same as you exactly, down for Everton, a 1-0 win as well.
You're copying me.
I had a peek there at your notes when you were you had your back turned. I had a quick look. There we are. I think this is like a classic Sean Dyche. Defend deep and hit him on the break, get a win. I also think Fulham have a bit of problems. Mitrovic wanted to get away. He wanted to go to Saudi Arabia. That was blocked. So he might be sulking a little bit. He may even be a doubt for this game. And we're also going to be missing Palhinha, I think, is going to be missing for this game as well, who's the driving force in their midfield. So, yeah, I'm going to go I think it'll be kind of a pretty much of a dour game, I'm expecting. I'm going to go for Everton to win 1-0 as well, although I think Everton will be the bottom half of the table again this year. I don't see that they haven't improved the squad enough. They haven't got enough imagination, up front to cause too many problems from many teams. But a home victory on this one. Which leads us to Sheffield United at home to Palace. Will I go with this one?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I predicted Sheffield United to go down this season. They've lost their striker from last year, Ndiaye, or his name was. Palace, I think a bit like you, will be a little bit stale this year. They've lost Saha. They do still have some exciting players, Michael Olise and a few other players there in the team, but they're not players who will give you 100% every single day. Eze as well. They'll come in and out, I think it'll be a good atmosphere. Just because I put Sheffield United down to lose, I don't want to go for a draw, predict draws on the first day of the season. So I'm going to go for Palace's experience maybe to get them over the line on this one. And but give a Palace a 2-1 win on this one.
Lovely. I have the exact same scoreline reversed.
Interesting.
So here we go. Yeah, because I did put Palace to go down. Again, now, even since that video was made, your prediction about Wolves has come to pass about Lopetegui heading off. So well done on that.
Yes.
And certainly, they could have a long season. But I'm sticking with my guns. Sheffield United are up, and yes, they've lost one of their major goal scorers. But looking at them, they had a few other good goal scorers that were still there.
Right.
Solid, based on a solid defense. And I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Sheffield United.
Okay. So a relegation 6-pointer on the first day of the season.
Yeah, first day of the season, it could be the relegation 6-pointer or maybe a championship decider.
We'll see.
Yeah,
the next
Newcastle
one is interesting.
versus Villa. Is that the Sunday game? Yeah, both teams overperformed last year.
I think a very juicy first game of the season here. I think it's one of the highlights. I'm going to go just because I said Villa will finish ahead of Newcastle this season. I said Villa to finish 5th. I think they'll be do very well this year. I'm very impressed with the way they're looking. Newcastle, as we spoke in the last video about the top 6 predictions, Newcastle really they've surprised me in that they haven't invested more on players. They still have a lot of players from last season. I'm just going to say that Villa look so good in pre-season, and they seem to be on a high at the moment. Ollie Watkins is going to be, I think, one of the players of the season to look out for. So I'm going to go for a Villa to win at St. James's Park on the first day of the season.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I just think first game of the season, home draw is huge because there's no form in terms of the teams. But I agree with a lot of what you said. And Emery loves playing on the counter, which obviously plays into playing away from home more than when you play at home. I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
I know you've said you don't want to predict draws. There's one more draw in my selection.
That's
after
okay.
this one.
There will be draws.
Happen.
There will be draws. They do happen. Yeah.
There will be draws.
Yeah.
So this is the one I picked to draw.
Okay.
There's a few question marks about a couple of Aston Villa midfielders where there's offers or rumors that this club are coming in trying to get this guy and that guy.
Douglas Luiz.
I don't know how much of that is nonsense, quite frankly, and how much it affects the day-to-day running, in terms of planning and preparing, because we're close to the opening game. But as I say, home draw, as in they're playing in St. James's Park. The Toon Army will be there in force. That'll get them going. 1-1. I think both two quality teams will
balance out. Definitely looking forward to that game.
Brentford versus Spurs, your favorite team, which are Brentford, of course. Brentford seem to be losing two of their goalkeepers, not one but two in the transfers, if things are to be believed.
Money talks.
Like Raya, the talk of Raya going to Arsenal.
Yes. What do you think of that, Mike? What do you think of Raya and Ramsdale being together? It's a little bit like Peter Shilton and Ray Clements back in the early 80s.
Yeah, it's it's such a mental position, because there's no, of all the positions, you've got no cover once behind you once you're the goalkeeper. You need to have the confidence and faith of your manager and your teammates. Liverpool have had a while where they alternated, had two reasonable level guys in Mignolet, and they had another guy, I can't remember who, doesn't matter, but they were alternating, and neither keeper really performed to their best because they didn't have the confidence.
Yeah.
You either look, time will tell. I thought Arsenal don't need to go for as keeper as good as Raya, and Raya is too good to be a B goalkeeper.
I have a theory on it.
Okay.
All right. I think that Arteta doesn't have confidence in Ramsdale. And I actually believe that as well, too. I think he isn't good enough to be a championship winning keeper. And it reminds me of George Graham back in the early 90s when John Lukic was a regular goalkeeper. Arsenal had just won the league in 89. And he went out and bought David Seaman in 1990. And they asked him, why are you buying David Seaman when you have like John Lukic? He said, well, I think John Lukic is in the top 4 or 5 keepers in the league. I just happen to think David Seaman is number 1. So I think he thinks that Raya is a better keeper. And I do like David Raya. Last season he was amazing. I think he's a really good keeper. I don't have faith in Ramsdale. I think that he's a lot of talk, but he makes too many mistakes. And I think within a couple of months before Christmas, Raya will be number 1 and Ramsdale will be out the door. That's what I think. I think he's made a decision. He just said, I don't believe in Ramsdale. I'm bringing in a keeper who I think is going to be number 1. Ramsdale will start number 1, but after a while, maybe he makes a few mistakes. Raya will come in. Anyway, Brentford against Spurs. What do you think?
Well, with all that turmoil, I'm afraid this is going to be one of my first away victories that I'm predicting. There's doom and gloom being predicted in Spurs. The whole saga of Kane has gone ridiculous. But I am a fan of their new manager, and I think we'll see a response to him similar to what Brighton saw last year when they got the Zani guy. Okay. And I'm saying 3-1 to Spurs.
Whoa, nice. Okay,
I'm for a 3-1 victory to Spurs.
Yeah, I do think as well. Yeah, Brentford have turmoil. They've lost their, of course. Tony's is not there. Raya probably won't play. Buena as well, another striker they have, I think is a doubtful for this game. But I just think Spurs are just so bad that Harry Kane will score 1, but I think Brentford will win 2-1.
Okay, cool. Okay, we got 2 last games. Let's get them go quickly.
Yes.
Can I take this one off? Chelsea,
Yes.
Liverpool?
Off you go.
0-0. 0-0. Every time we played them last year, 0-0.
Yes.
That's it. End of story. Cancelling again.
Yes.
Cancelling each other out.
It could be, but it's a new season, new players, new manager. 0-0. Okay. Well, I'm the actual opposite to you. I think we're going to be 5 goals in this game. I've got Liverpool to win 3-2 in an exciting game.
Often talk about Liverpool will concede loads of goals.
Yes. So I think as well there's going to be lots of goals in this one. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Liverpool. Liverpool will concede, but I think that their firepower against a pretty much sort of young Chelsea team as well still at the moment. I think Chelsea will come good. I think there's a lot of good players in that team. I just think that Liverpool might be a bit strong for them in the first game, especially because Nkunku is injured as well. So I'm going to go for Liverpool.
He got a nasty injury until Christmas.
Yeah, so 3-2 to Liverpool on this one. We'll see.
Okay. And our last one there, Manchester United versus Wolves.
Yeah. Can we see anything but a United victory? Wolves lost their manager, no signings. I fancied Wolves to go down this season. I can't see anything beyond a strong Man United 3-0 victory on this one.
Yeah, I went 2-0 because just first game of the season, nerves and people find it. But yeah, I don't see Wolves challenging them. It's like going to be a nice training ground. Well, opening day of the season, you got the crowd full in Old Trafford, and they'll be happy to see a winning start, and I think they will.
And is it true that the new striker has got some sort of back stress or something that he can't play? I mean, how come
he's a doubt?
How come that wasn't picked up in the, what do they call it, the medical before buying him?
Well, the medical would look at something long term or short term, and they say, okay, well, you have this little knock, and they look at all the other stress tests and say, okay, well, no, it isn't any major ligament damage, or we can see.
We'll see.
That generally the muscles are fine. Got this little bit of an old issue there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, it won't be good for them if they don't have their striker.
I don't. Again, because it's Wolves, because of the amount of possession I think they'll have, I don't think there'll be an issue between Rashford. Fernandes is good for a goal, and this could be a game to let Sancho play, because if he's given space, he can penetrate.
Yes.
They have a lot of options. I think that young fella, Garancho or whatever his name is, I think could make a bigger name for himself this season.
Yes.
He's come in bits and pieces last year. I think he could become a household name.
Okay. Yeah, I think we both agree United to win.
And could start.
Yeah. And is there the next week is there's no midweek games? There's no midweek games, Mike. Is there? It'll be like next weekend again?
As far as I'm aware, there's no midweek games. So I think it'll be on to next week.
All right.
And they'll be coming thick and fast then.
Yeah, okay. Great stuff.
We will shorten our video.
We'll try, but sure, we've so much to talk about and we've so many good points. It's hard to shorten quality, Quality, not quantity. That's what we do. I'm going to stop the video here now.
That's our motto.
I'll stop the video.
But before you do, this episode was brought to you by Qingtao.
Qingtao.
If you drink any other beer in China, you're drinking muck.
Yeah, and also brought to you by these onions. If you can read that for our local sponsors. There we are. Okay, and 10 points to anybody who tells us which countries we're in, if you can guess which countries we're in. All right, off the best. I'm going to stop the video now.